Hi everyone, welcome on Hyperautomation session when I will be covering what hyperautomation is, and I will cover three components: MuleSoft Composer, MuleSoft RPA and Anypoint Platform. But before we dig into the details, let me introduce myself. My name is Patryk Bandurski. I'm a MuleSoft subject matter expert. I work for PwC Poland. I've been working with MuleSoft products for many years right now. I've been developing, designing applications on different deployment models. I am actively engaged in MuleSoft community. I'm leading Warsaw MuleSoft meetup. So also I was invited to join amazing cohort of other MuleSoft enthusiasts to the MuleSoft Ambassador group. Okay, so what's on the agenda? First, we will cover what hyperautomation is, as this is a key word in the presentation. Then we will go through three main components, which is Anypoint Platform, MuleSoft Composer, and MuleSoft Robotic Process Automation, for short RPA, and then we go straight to the demonstration. The introduction and the demonstration will be based on the Salesforce consultant case. We will see the current state and the challenges that our Salesforce consultant faces and how he resolved them using this hyperautomation toolkit. And at the end, we will wrap it up. So let's first begin with the current case. Our Salesforce consultant John and the solution architect seeing in the landscape Salesforce, CRM, and Anypoint Platform with already existing MuleSoft APIs. It is pretty mature standard model. The APIs are added to this group of APIs with every cycle of the project. Like right now, Salesforce can consume those APIs indirectly via calling, for example, Salesforce Experience API available on the Anypoint Platform. Later on, in the demonstration, we will see two challenges that John will have, but more about that later on. So let's answer a simple question: what hyperautomation is? I found a quite nice quote from IBM that hyperautomation is the concept of automating everything, anything in an organization that can be automated. Pretty straightforward definition what hyperautomation is, and we can think here of a couple of tools that can help us achieve that goal, which is automate everything. That is integration. So for example, on a platform, that are low-code tools like an MuleSoft Composer, automation tools like MuleSoft RPA, Salesforce Flows, Salesforce Orchestrations. Those tools can help you reach the goal. Today we will focus on three of them. So MuleSoft Anypoint Platform, MuleSoft Composer, and RPA. So let's go through them. The first one is Anypoint Platform. Right now you can see the application networks. For some of you, this concept should be familiar. This is the net of the APIs that are appearing on the MuleSoft landscape during project's evolution. Those APIs working together towards a greater goal to enable it, like customer success or enabling a specific business case, features. Those APIs are as I said, evolving. So whenever new project appears and it's iterating, some of the APIs are reused from already existing net of the APIs. The golden rule here, just remember that. And the new ones are added on top of it. So you can imagine that this application network can grow and grow and grow bigger with new extensions that are added with every single project. However, you should remember that here the reusability is the keyword. It should be for you easy to find if anything you would like to use is already there, so you do not need to reinvent the wheel. And you may be thinking how to achieve this. Of course, there is something like integration marketplace. Everyone should know that it's called Anypoint Exchange. This is a place with variety of assets like REST APIs, asynchronous APIs, even automation APIs, more of that later on, and reusable fragments. And many more, of course. This is the first place, for example, where I look whenever I need to design a new API to see if something similar or exactly what I need is there. You may be thinking, why, as Imagine that you are working in a big organization. There are multiple business groups, there are multiple MuleSoft teams, so you may not seeing the overall picture. You may not be aware of every single API that's been delivered so far. So this is the great place to actually find this out. And you have here a quite nice documentation. You have mocks that you can playing with. So a great starting point. Let's move to the next concept, next tool. MuleSoft Composer, our clicks node code integration tool. This tool allows you to build not overly complex integrations, and as a result, you do not need to have this deep technical knowledge to start working and writing your integrations from scratch. Actually, it's even easier for you as there are templates that you can be using. This tool allows you to automate workflows and to make it this clicks node code integration tool. You've got a couple of benefits here. So many out-of-the-box connectors. You do not need to understand the technical details to connect to specific system. For example, to Jira, you just receive the pop-up window when you need to provide, for example, username and password, and that's it. Plain and simple. Another big important stuff is that you can actually consume APIs, MuleSoft APIs that are part of this application network that I've been talking a moment ago. So can you imagine that right now you are not longer bound only to the connector to external systems, but you are actually becoming part of this whole big application network and being able to consume any API that's already there? It's an amazing feature. And the cherry on top of it is that we can easily as well consume automated processes that are built and run by RPA. But more on that I will talk a little bit later on. This tool is dedicated, in my opinion, to Salesforce administrator, business analyst, and those people do not need to write Java code. It saves you lots of times by this more configuration and point and click configuration instead of writing loads of lines of code. MuleSoft Composer is in two flavors. The one that I will be showing you today is a standalone version. So it has dedicated web page which I visit to work on the MuleSoft flows in the Composer. But there is also a MuleSoft Composer for Salesforce. And you may be wondering, oh no, I wanted to see how it works in the MuleSoft Composer for Salesforce. So do not worry, the tools looks the same. So whenever I will be building a flow in the MuleSoft Composer, you can follow along the steps in MuleSoft Composer for Salesforce, as this is exactly the same user interface. So do not worry. Let's move further. The MuleSoft Robotic Process Automation tool, for short, RPA. This is a perfect tool for automating manual repetitive steps. I like this tool that it allows you to automate nearly anything and anywhere. So you can automate, for example, user interfaces like desktop applications or web pages going through pages, or you can automate working with legacy applications that does not provide modern API that you would normally use. Another big advantage of this tool is advanced data processing. You may be facing just like processing the images, documents, something like this. You can even here use very advanced AI technology available on AWS like Textract, which gives you a greater boost here actually. This allows you to automate processes. However, there are cases whenever manual help is necessary, and as well you are able to include manual steps in the automated processes in RPA, which is very helpful and it's really nicely built into the platform. Again, this is low-code automation tool, so you do not write actually a lot of code. Mainly you are configuring the toolbox component, for example, image processing or mouse clicks, keyboard keystrokes, etc., which is pretty amazing that you can provide example to the component that you are configuring, for example, image processing, so you may provide the image, and you may be tweaking the configuration of this image processing, and you may see live how it works if it's helping you goal. You do not need to write code, as I said. It's just a matter of getting an experience with the better configuration of those components, as it may require some experience like seeking the place, for example, on a web page and extracting data from it. But this is something that we can quickly get used to. This tool is purely dedicated, in my opinion, to process subject matter experts that knows how the process works, and they can automate this kind of process. From the perspective of running such processes, of course, they are running on a separate Windows machine. There is a bot performing the steps. It mimics people like doing clicks and typing on the keyboard. And this works on the trigger basis. So we can imagine the scheduler. This is the simplest one form. For example, every 15 minutes something will be done, or for example, appearing of the invoice file or any file in the specific folder. So we are triggered at the moment, or a new entry in the file. Or when we are thinking about the products that I mentioned a moment ago, like MuleSoft Composer and Anypoint Platform, from those platforms, we can actually trigger automated processes. And again, it's not a black magic, it's pretty straightforward. Let's talk about platform synergy. So far I've been talking about the Anypoint Platform, MuleSoft RPA, MuleSoft Composer as a separate systems. Right now, think about connecting them together. This is the moment where the synergy comes and the true power is unleashed. At instant, MuleSoft Composer is becoming part of this big application network as well. MuleSoft RPA, it's as well part of this bigger MuleSoft application network. And when we are thinking about the consumption of any assets or APIs that we are building, it's much more simplified when it's connected. And we've got this boost with time delivery, whereas we can reuse as much possible quicker what's already existing on the platform. And I will try to show you this on the demonstration in a moment. So let's move to this demonstration. We will begin with reviewing the first challenge. So what is the first challenge that John has? It turns out that whenever the new contact record is created with person details, we need to check if the person is politically exposed. And John was considering with a solution architect, how can this be achieved with the lowest cost possible? So they find out that there is already verification process API on Anypoint Platform that can be used. So they thought to consume this existing API from the application network. How this can be achieved? By introducing MuleSoft Composer in the organization. So MuleSoft Composer will be connected with Anypoint Platform, and as a result, MuleSoft Composer will become the part of the application network and treat this as being inside this network. And this MuleSoft Composer will call directly verification process API. So let's begin this demonstration. I'm right now on MuleSoft Composer platform. In order to connect this with Anypoint Platform, I just need to go to settings and then to the accounts. I need to go to shared APIs and click authenticate in Anypoint Platform. Right now, we see that the token was successfully created and the application composer was created. If you are thinking right now, oh, all those APIs appeared and I'm able right now to call them, no, we need to as well do a couple of preparation steps on the Anypoint Platform. So let's go to Anypoint Exchange. Right now we can see loads of APIs that we can consume. Just kidding. In my demonstration we just got one single API, which is verification process API. But let's imagine that here is loads of other APIs. So we've got this verification process API, and in order to enable this for consumption in MuleSoft Composer, we just need to request access. So what does it mean? That the client ID enforcement policy needs to be enabled. This is the requirement, hard requirement. So I will right now click request access, and I first need to check the environment that I'm interested in, and then the application. Here is the composer. It was automatically created a moment ago for MuleSoft Composer. And I click request access. Right now, these details are not relevant as the magic behind the scene appeared and the credentials, these credentials are right now in MuleSoft Composer. So I close and move further. Another worth mentioning aspect here is that you need to be aware that API also needs to be secured with API key or basic authentication. Otherwise, it won't be available to consumption in Anypoint Composer. Let's go and check this out quickly in API Manager. If we go to our API verification process API and go to policies, you can see that I've got basic authentication and client ID enforcement policies. So this is the required part. And of course, you need to provide the consumer endpoint where this application is available. Okay, so we've fulfilled all the necessary steps here on the Anypoint platform. We can go back to MuleSoft Composer. So let's go back to flows. Flows already pre-populated with a couple of steps. Let's click is PEP process and let me click edit. Let me quickly go through what we've got here. So we've got here a Salesforce trigger. So we are listening on the new records in the new contact records. And when new contact records are triggered, we receive this, we create variable that we will fill in a moment, and then we update the same single record with the flag if this person is politically exposed. So let's consume our verification process API. Okay, let me click it. Plus button, I click system action, scroll down. Okay, we've got here a section with shared APIs. We've got here right now single API verification process API, surprise, surprise. But you can imagine that in your organization, here you would find plenty of the APIs. Let me click it. First, we need to configure the connection. So I will call it verification process API. We need to provide the authorization type, the one I mentioned a moment ago. So we stick with the basic authentication. The base URI, it's not editable here, is taken from API management. Username is from authentication pipe. So this is test and test. Pretty simple. Do not follow the steps on production. The client ID, client secret are pre-populated as earlier mentioned. Right now we need to provide the details to any endpoint that would confirm the connectivity and authorization working. So you need to check and provide. Here we will call get person's PEP status and let me hit connect. If the API works correctly and the authorization will succeed, it will be confirmed and we will be directed to the call configuration. Just like that. So we need to pick the operation. I can select operation from the list. Only a single one is available, so getting the status. Right now we need to provide the details required by the operation. How to call it you can find out in the documentation on Anypoint Exchange. However, I know it by heart, so I will fill it right now. We need to provide two query parameters, the first name and last name. So let's add the one. First name, and the value will be the first name from the contact, and we need to provide last name. And surprise, surprise, last name from contact record. The rest of the details is not relevant in our case, it works. Okay, let's move to the next step, which is create variable. We need to fill in here the details from the verification process API response. So we've got here the PEP. Okay, and this will be saved in the record. Let's make this view a little bit tidy and let me click save. And we will test this flow if it works. So right now it's starting up in the test mode. I will go in the separate window. Okay, I've opened right now the contacts view and our MuleSoft Composer is waiting for new record. So let me hit new and let's provide some details like Mr. John Doe. That's everything what is needed. Here is the flag PEP. As you can see, it's unselected. Let me click save. And right now this record is created. It will trigger our test flow. Of course, we need to wait a moment. And once we receive the trigger with this new record, we will have the details like the first name, last name, as you can see, and the contact record. We called a verification puppy, and as you can see, it succeeded, and in the response we've got true. So let's see if actually our record was updated. I will refresh the view, And let me move to the details page, and we can see that the PEP flag was selected to true. Okay, so right now you saw how the first challenge was solved. I hope that you saw how easy it was to consume existing API from Anypoint Platform and how easy it was to connect them. But our Salesforce consultant does not have luck. Another new challenge appeared. So the consultants receives invoices in the image format, and they need to open such documents, read the total net value, and update this value in Salesforce. This is a very error-prone process, and solution architect found that perfect solution to this. We will use existing process automation that reads the invoices net values, and this will include in our landscape MuleSoft RPA. The MuleSoft RPA will be connected with MuleSoft Composer and Anypoint Platform. As a result, MuleSoft Composer will be able to call automated process, same Anypoint Platform. However, today I will focus only on MuleSoft Composer in the demonstration, as we do not have that much time to do it on Anypoint Platform. However, on Anypoint Platform, in Anypoint Studio, it's very similar step, as there is a bigger kind of abstraction that you can work on. Okay, so first let's connect MuleSoft RPA Anypoint Platform. How to do it? We go with RPA to Organization Management Settings and then to Anypoint. We just click Configure Settings. Right now we need to provide a connected application details. So let's move to Anypoint Exchange. If we go right now to Access Management, to Connected Application section, we can see that I've already created one, MuleSoft RPA. This is pretty straightforward, connected application. It just has RPA integrator scope. I need to copy the ID and secret. Let me do it. Copy ID. Let's paste it here. Copy secret. Let's paste it here. And let's select if we are on the EU control plane or the standard one. I will pick standard one. Right now it's trying to connect to my platform. You can pick the business groups from the available list. I will pick obviously the Dreamforce and let me click finish. Right now we connect the platforms, and whenever we publish our process and make it live, the new assets will appear on Anypoint Exchange. So let's see the process. Let's go to the process automation and management. I've got the Dreamforce 23 and invoice processing. Of course, I've got the limitation in the licensing, so I am able to only demonstrate today only one automated processes. Okay, so it's in the production stage. It's not running yet, actually not listening on anything. We need to create invocable run configuration. And so let's begin with these details. Let me click create, let me call it MuleSoft Composer trigger, and let me hit next. Here are the inbound parameters, but I do not provide here any value. Let me click next. There is no user task associated with the process, so I leave the values as default. The execution, I leave the values as default. My bot configuration on Windows is sufficient to perform this automated process, so I click next. And here we need to pick my bot. So I created a bot called Dreamforce 2023, and let me click save and publish. So from now on, the process will start listening on triggers. And as an extra step, it will publish an asset on Anypoint Exchange. Let's go there. Okay, we are right now again on Anypoint Exchange. As you can see, a new asset appeared. This is this Dreamforce invoice processing. So we can go into it and see that it has some endpoints for use, like starting the process or getting the process execution status, for example, when we are thinking in the asynchronous model consumption. So as you can see right now, our automated process become the part of the application networks, whenever the new feature or requirements appears requiring this invoice processing, we will be able to find this on the integration marketplace, which is kind of amazing, in my opinion. Okay, we've done the first step. We've connected MuleSoft RPA with Anypoint Platform. So let's build the MuleSoft Composer flow, performing the automated steps. We are right now in the process invoices. Let me click edit. Let's see what we've got here. So we've got the trigger listening for updated account records. Then here we will place this RPA automation process. Then we've got the variable picking the total net value from the outcome from RPA, and we update the account with the total net value. So let's add call to RPA. Click plus button, system actions, scroll down a little bit, pick MuleSoft RPA. We need to provide the details. So let me call it MuleSoft RPA. We will be authorizing with API key. I need to provide API URL. So this is the URI from the web browser, but I've got this in my clipboard. So let me copy this. Okay, so as we can see, I need to append RPA API/v1. We need to as well provide user API key. So here we've got the explanation where to take it from MuleSoft RPA. However, I've got this value in clipboard. Okay, so I just pasted this value. Let me click connect. Right now it's checking if my connectivity details to RPA works, and once this is confirmed, we are redirected to configuration. We can pick right now RPA process. We've got only a single one, which is invoice processing. Let me pick it. Right now we can decide if we would like to call this poll synchronously or asynchronously, as this is not a long running process like taking days or something like this. It's just a matter of minutes. We can use synchronous model, so let's use response in this flow. We need to provide the input details to our automated flow. So I click select additional fields. I know that process requires this invoice number input parameter be provided. So I click apply, and let me provide this value from Salesforce record field recent invoice number. Okay. Let me update as well variable, as right now it's hard coded. Let's remove this, and we should update this with the output from RPA process invocation. So we've got here the results and the net total. As you can see, result net total. Let me hit save, and let me run the test. Okay, so our flow is waiting for trigger. This 10 minutes. On right hand side in the Salesforce, you can see a cool company account. Let me update this with the recent invoice number, let's say 1, 2, and remove the, or we can leave this recent net total value as is. Let me hit save. Right now we are waiting for the trigger for this updated record, but once it will be received here, it will go to this invoke RPA process. So it will call it and wait for the response. As I said, it will take around 1 minute. So let's go and check this out in a MuleSoft RPA. Okay, we are in a MuleSoft RPA, and if we go to process monitoring bot state, we can see here that right now my bot is in OK state and it's actually free, so it's doing nothing. But you can imagine that in a moment when MuleSoft Composer will trigger it, the bot will start processing the request. As you can see, it's changed to the waiting state. So right now it's created the instance. As you can see, the current activity is listed. Right now it's processing the image invoice and it's taking out the net total value. So let's move back to MuleSoft Composer as it's nearly finished. Okay, it just finished. So let me see. Trigger is successful. So we received this record with this recent invoice number. We called the RPA and it finished. So we've got here again green tick mark, and the output is 900. And it should be saved as a number into Salesforce. So it should be updated. So let me refresh the web page with my cool company account. And if we go again to the details page, we see the net amount was updated. Amazing. Can you see how easy it was to consume automated process? You can imagine it's being really hard to do the invocation, but actually it was pretty straightforward in the MuleSoft Composer. It was just a point and click. We've just done no code. We just provided details with the drag and drop, and it actually worked as we seen. Okay, so it's time for wrap up. So we learned what hyperautomation is, and I've talked about 3 products that help you automate anything and everything in your organization, which is MuleSoft Composer, MuleSoft RPA, and Anypoint Platform. The key golden rule here is to connect them together, to enable the synergy, to make it all the components being part of the bigger application network when anything can be reused whenever it is possible. So these tools are dedicated to specific audience, to specific people. The MuleSoft Composer, our Clicks no-code integration tool, I would say is for Salesforce administrators, business analysts, with not overly complex integration patterns. Next, we've got this MuleSoft RPA, which is a low-code automation tool, which is the perfect choice for a process subject matter expert that can implement the automation that you can call later on. And last but not least, we've got this Anypoint Platform, which is dedicated for very advanced integration scenarios that require coding. So we've finished our session. I would like to thank you for watching the video, and I hope that you enjoy it and you learn how Hyperautomation works with these pre-selected tools: MuleSoft Composer, RPA, and Anypoint Platform. See you soon.